And due to circumstances beyond my control, we're back for another exciting day of live local morning television here on your local television station. By golly, that's us, the NCW Life Channel. Good to see you. It's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. It is Tuesday, the 9th day of July, 2019. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. And a rare Tuesday in that we're going to promise you a five-star show. We know we don't normally do that on Tuesday. Tuesdays, we're just happy to be here, quite frankly. But no, we're going to do a five-star show today, and I'll tell you why, because we're talking baseball with my good friend Stormin' Joel Norman, the voice of the Wenatchee AppleSox. Second half of the season begins tonight at home. The Bend Elks are in town, and for the first time ever in AppleSox history, and they've been around for 20 years, bobblehead night. Tonight they got 400, well actually now 399 Coyote bobbleheads, because Joel brought me one. Da-da-da-da, there it is. We'll talk about bobblehead night and all things AppleSox baseball as they get ready to make the push to the playoffs in the second half of the season. Joe will be in here coming up in just about a half an hour. Outside of that, everything else that you're used to is going to happen. We got the news. We got sports. Crazy home run derby last night at Progressive Field in Cleveland. I watched all of it. I'm glad I wasn't sitting in the outfield seats. It looks like a number of people were injured diving for the 300 and some odd baseballs that ended up in the seats. We'll talk about the home run derby and preview the All-Star game. The 90th All-Star game is tonight, so we got some sports to get to. Also, of course, the obscure holiday today and history, birthdays, and everybody is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And the weather forecast is going to be very spring-like for today, tonight, and most of Wednesday, but then a really nice weekend is shaping up. So if you got plans for the weekend, remember it was kind of a cool weekend, all things considered, and yesterday was cool. We only hit 79 on Monday. Our normal high is supposed to be about 85. So we've had a little bit of a cool and cloudy period for the Wenatchee Valley. But if you like sunshine and warm temperatures, typical July weather, we're going to have that coming up. But you got to wait till Thursday. I'm afraid the next 48 hours, a little on the iffy side. You see how much, it's beautiful sunshine and a few high clouds this morning. That's going to change as this day progresses. All right, let's take you around north central Washington with our cameras, courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless setup. And we begin, as always, with the cross camera, our most used camera. Many of the cameras we've now upgraded to 4K, which basically has 4 times the resolution as a regular high-definition camera, and this is one of them. And that is just an incredible view, of course. It always is from there. But it also allows us to zoom in and out, and we go up and down. We can do the hokey-pokey with this camera, and it allows us to zoom in on traffic accidents or fires or what have you, any kind of breaking news in the Wenatchee Valley. Because of this incredible view, we can bring you footage that nobody else can. And that goes for pretty much all of our high-definition cameras, including camera number 2, which I don't know what it is. We find out together. Megan gets the control. And it's off to Monument Hill, and there's Steve and Lynette's summer home. Of course, Steve and Lynette here, they like to spend their summer vacations out there in Quincy, where opportunities are unlimited. As you can see, it's a fixer-upper. Steve and Lynette are still working on it, but they'll get there. That's an old shack. That's an old radio transmitter shack that is obviously no longer in use. Monument Hill is the highest point in around the Columbia Basin. That's why everybody uses it. It's got transmitters and translators and repeaters and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, that's a beautiful home, isn't it? It's a little on the small side. It's what they call a fixer-upper, a cottage. Cozy, I guess, is what the real estate people use. Camera 3, where are we off to, Megan? We're going to go see the top of McNeil Canyon. Hello, McNeil Canyon. And that tower is way up there. Lake Chelan is way off in the distance. You can see that little splotch of blue. That is Lake Chelan, full of water, I'm told. So Chelan Butte is up on your left there. And some high clouds up there in the Chelan area. Gorgeous, gorgeous area. Driving up McNeil Canyon isn't too hard. Driving down McNeil Canyon can be a little hairy. It's pretty steep, and there's a lot of S-curves and bendy, twisty, windy roads. In fact, they had a semi have an accident on McNeil Canyon Road over the weekend. Camera number 3. No, yeah, 3. 4. I've lost track. So much about the five-star show. Oh, well. Didn't take long. 4 hours and 48 minutes, or 4 minutes and 49 seconds, and I blew the show. Good morning, Lake Wenatchee. From our Two Rivers camera. That's, I believe, pulled way back. As you can see, they got some high clouds up there as well. Sun taking its sweet time getting going. The White River Valley would be 180 degrees the other direction if we turn the camera around. We could show you that, but that is Lake Wenatchee, one of my favorite places. And I think they're pretty much done with the mosquito season up there. I hope so. the skeeters can get real active in the Lake Wenatchee Fish Lake area there. Good morning, Lake Wenatchee. Thanks for joining us. And that is a very high tower. I know. I've been there when they built it. And I've always been impressed with our tower climbers, the tower climbers that work for Localtel's Sky-Fi, because that takes guts to do that. Yeah, they strap themselves in. It's all safety. They're all got the proper gear on and their helmets and everything, and they take their time getting up there. But you gotta have some guts to be able to climb some of those towers, especially if you don't like heights. Of course, if you don't like heights, you probably don't work for Sky-Fi. It is 6 minutes after the hour. Let's take a look at your weather forecast from the National Weather Service. We have a couple of slides to show you as well. As you can see there, it's going to be mostly dry today, but we are going to cloud up. The cloud's going to be thickening up as the day progresses. There's your hour-by-hour forecast. The top of it is your temperatures. That's in red, so you can see we'll peak off right about 85 or 86 late in the afternoon. Next one down in blue is your sky coverage. That's the percentage of sky that's covered with clouds. And so the lower the percentage, the more sunshine. As you can see, as the day goes on, we get more and more clouds. And by the time the sun goes down just before 9 o'clock, it'll be mostly cloudy skies. And then at the very bottom of our chances of rain, and our chance of rain, our best chance of rain isn't much. It's only about a 30% chance. And if we get any rain at all, it'll be between 11 o'clock in the evening and 4 o'clock in the morning. In fact, we have another slide to show you the percentage of chance of rain where you live. So take a look at where you live. And like it has been for this cool period over the last 7 to 10 days, the higher north you go, the better chance you have for rain. So you go up to the Medhow Valley area or up to the Omak Okanagan area, you have a better chance of rain than we do have down here in the Wenatchee Valley. About a 30% chance of rain here in Wenatchee. Again, it'll be in the overnight hours from 11 o'clock in the evening until about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's only about a 30% chance of rain. So the clouds will be thickening up as the day progresses, and then will be cloudy tonight. Again, a little bit of rain possible. Clouds going to hold the heat in though. Our overnight low tonight's only going to be in the upper 60s. I mean, it's going to be like 67 or 68 for the overnight low tonight. That's very, very mild. Wednesday, lots of clouds. Slight chance of some residual rain Wednesday morning. I wouldn't bet on it. High of about 84, which is about normal for this time of year. But the sun's going to take Wednesday off. And then Wednesday night, the sun doesn't come out. The sun comes out Wednesday night. We're going to have a real scoop for you. Wednesday night, the clouds are getting out of here. And then we're in for a nice stretch of weather. Look at that. Thursday, lots of sunshine, 87. Friday, 90. 91 Saturday. Boy, it's going to be a great weekend to head into the ballpark to watch some AppleSox baseball. They got a 6-game home series coming up. They got Bend for 3 games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Bellingham in town, the Bells, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to be televising, by the way, the Saturday games, so be sure to check that out if you can't make it to Paul Thomas Senior Field. We always encourage you to do so. You can watch AppleSox baseball right here on the NCW Live channel come Saturday night. So there's your forecast from the National Weather Service. It's 8 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got the news. But before we do that, thanks to Confluence Health for sponsoring this program. It's obvious that they don't watch it, or they wouldn't be sponsoring it. Confluence Health, dedicated to providing safe, quality health care for everybody in North Central Washington. Thanks, Confluence Health. We're going to take a break, get you a cup of coffee, come right on back. Your Tuesday morning news is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live this morning from Studio 10 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
Hi, I'm Lehman Williams, General Manager of Crown Furniture and Mattress. 3 years ago, we decided to make a change to focus on products built in the USA. We made this decision based on better construction, better quality, and better warranties. At Crown Furniture and Mattress, we take great pride in knowing with each and every delivery, we're not just delivering furniture, we're delivering quality and comfort for your family to enjoy for years to come. So stop by and feel the difference at 736 South Wenatchee Avenue, across from Stan's.
Welcome back. 10 minutes after the hour, we have high clouds and 61 degrees outside of our studios. The clouds will be thickening up as the day progresses. By the time your workday is done, it'll be mostly cloudy skies, some light rain possible In the overnight hours, mostly cloudy on Wednesday but dry, and then lots of sunshine and warm temperatures beginning on Thursday. Here's what's making the headlines. A man who drowned Sunday in a rafting accident on the Wenatchee River has been identified. According to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, 45-year-old Ronald Ripper of Monitor was floating down the river with his son and a pet pig in separate flotation tubes when the pig fell out about midway between Monitor and the Sleepy Hollow Bridge. Ripper jumped into the river in an attempt to rescue the pig, but he was seen struggling to stay afloat. His adult son yelled to other people on the river and on the shoreline that his father had disappeared under the water. Witnesses were able to locate the pig and take it to shore, but Ripper was eventually located by deputies downstream near the Sleepy Hollow Bridge. Deputies entered the river, pulled him to shore. The victim was declared dead after about 20 minutes of life-saving efforts by emergency crews. Chelan County Coroner Wayne Harris said the accidental death was caused by asphyxia due to fresh water drowning. Well, a brush fire near Manson led to a level 1 evacuation notice on Saturday afternoon. Our very own Kyle Montgomery has the story.
An 18-year-old Everett man has been accused of causing a fire near Grade Creek Road over the weekend north of Manson. Arrested was Michael P. Popov. Jason Reinfeld of the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said fireworks were involved.
A fire had started and witnesses had identified a vehicle that was in the area, and deputies responded along with fire personnel. And they were able to locate that vehicle, and one of them was specifically described by a witness, and they contacted the driver of that vehicle. And as a result of the interview with him, they were able to determine that he used fireworks to detonate inside of a mailbox, which caused this fire. And it ended up burning about 14 and a half acres, and a lot of resources were used to keep that fire from spreading, including District 5, Chelan, INEAT fire personnel, as well as DNR helicopter and Forest Service personnel.
Chief Arnold Baker of the Manson Volunteer Fire Department said crews had finished mopping up the fire by 8:30 that evening. The man likely faces charges of arson and malicious mischief for the destruction of the mailbox, Reinfeld said.
The actual criminal charge for the arson is due to the fact that he knowingly caused the explosion, and it was actually dangerous to any human life, including firefighters. And the malicious mischief portion was for the destruction of the mailbox.
With NCW Life News, I'm Kyle Montgomery.
Thank you, Kyle, for that report. In other news this morning, Douglas County District Court Judge Eric Biggers says the court's probation department is seriously understaffed. Douglas County currently has just one probation officer who's responsible for inmates who are placed in court-ordered supervision after they have served their jail sentences. But Biggers says the current caseload is more than one officer can handle by himself.
I have my staff run records of individuals that are currently under supervision, and from 2010 up to today. And so we currently have roughly 850 people on supervision. And these are people that are past convictions, current convictions for driving under the influence, driving suspended first, domestic violence. I mean, the whole gamut of offenses that we see in district court. But there's no way our probation officer can really supervise these individuals other than check their criminal histories every month or two. And at least in the court sense, that's not adequate for an effective probation department. And there is no way that any one probation officer can handle that current caseload.
Biggers is asking Douglas County Commissioners to consider hiring an additional staff person to do the clerical work that is currently being handled by the probation officer. Well, an effort to undo all the taxes passed by the state legislature this year failed to garner enough signatures to qualify for the November ballot. Supporters of I-1648 needed about 260,000 valid signatures, but they fell short of 200,000 by the Friday deadline. Former State Representative Kerry Kendata, who hosts NCW Life's The 12th District Show, and Mike McKee, the owner of Mike's Meats in Wenatchee and Quincy, have helped lead the signature gathering effort locally. Initiative 1648 would have nullified $27 billion from 11 new taxes passed by the 2019 legislature. In addition, it would have put a 12-month sunset on any new taxes. Well, voters in the areas served by Link Transit are going to be asked next month to approve an increase to the local sales tax, an increase of 0.2% to fund an expansion of Link's services. On yesterday's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, the general manager of Link Transit, Richard Durock, explained to me some of the improvements planned if Proposition 1 passes.
And what this would fund is Sunday service for the first time ever. It would fund service till about 11:30 at night on all the major routes, including up to Leavenworth and Chelan. It would fund a much better Saturday service. We only operate about 20% of our system on Saturdays that we operate Monday through Friday. And then higher frequencies, more convenient service in town. So in the Wenatchee, East Wenatchee area, we'd have more direct service. Right now, it takes a really long time to go from East Wenatchee to Wenatchee. The largest place people live that work at the hospital is East Wenatchee. And the fastest we can get you from East Wenatchee to the hospital is an hour and 15 minutes right now because it takes 2 transfers. Mm-hmm. This would provide direct service between those communities and the businesses on this side of the river so that we can make commuting much more viable and actually take some pressure off of the 2 bridges.
Dominic Bonney of the group Yes on Prop 1 explained that anyone who travels in North Central Washington should vote yes on Prop 1, whether they ride Link or not.
You have sat in traffic, then you should vote yes on Link Prop 1 because it's going to do a lot to relieve congestion. Another thing that I would have to say is that when you live in a community and you are a person of means, or you're a person who can afford to have a vehicle or 2 vehicles, we need to think about the least in our community. That's a Christian value that I believe in. And when you think about the least among us, you realize that 2 cents out of every $10 is really nothing. It's not that much at all.
More than 30 projects over the next 6 years will be funded if Proposition 1 passes. And don't forget, the primary election is coming up on August 6th, less than a month away. That's your news on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on this Tuesday morning. The news on Tuesday evening will be delivered by Grant Olson, who's back from assignment. Grant will be in the anchor chair tonight at 5 o'clock for the news. You can also watch it at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. What happened on this Tuesday, we'll let you know. In the NCW Life Evening News, Grant Olson in the anchor chair. Grant also handles weather forecasting, and he does both quite well, I might add. And Eric Granstrom with sports, the news tonight at 5, 6, and 10. Also available to you watch live streaming on our website, ncwlife.com, where you can watch it on demand whenever you want to. If you missed last night's newscast, you can go online and watch it today if you want at ncwlife.com. And our website is one of the tools you can use to get a hold of us. We have a Contact Us icon in the upper right-hand corner of our screen of our website. Just click on it, fill out the form, boom, we got it. You can email us, news at ncwlife.com. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call, 888-2020. You can go to Facebook and drop us a Facebook message. A lot of people do that. You can stand on the rooftop with the bullhorn and yell down the street at us, but I wouldn't recommend that. You'll probably, Megan just burped in my ear. You probably have the authorities. I'm sorry, the hiccup. Megan's got the hiccups. Don't stand on the roof with a bullhorn. That would be just silly. So there you go. Get a hold of us. We'd love to hear from you. It's 19 minutes after the hour. I have to go scare Megan so her hiccups will go away. And then we'll come back with sports, the obscure holiday, today in history, birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And standing by patiently in our green room, I know because I locked him in and they can't get out, is Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox, talking baseball second half of the program. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
I told Miss Nielsen about Simon. He's the best doctor because I like the medicines like he gives me.
He asks like more questions, and that's why I feel like he's more interested in the health. For me, it means a lot. That means he really cares about him.
I like you, Simon, and you're my best friend.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
We're back at 20 minutes after the hour. Let's talk sports, it seems impossible to believe that there's not something going on with the Major League Baseball this season. I'm not talking about the sport. I'm talking about the baseball itself. And last night's T-Mobile Home Run Derby, Toronto rookie Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit 91 home runs. That's 30 more than the record set by Juan Carlos Stanton in the 2016 contest. And he didn't even win. New York Mets rookie Pete Alonso topped Guerrero in the final. The final was 23-22. Alonso took home $1 million for winning the Derby, and he pledged that he would donate 5% of those winnings to the Wounded Warrior Project and another 5% to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation if he emerged victorious, and he did. Everyone's going to be talking about, the second round between Guerrero Jr. and the Dodgers' Jock Pederson. Both hit 29 long balls. That meant a 1-minute swing-off. Each batter belted 8 homers during that extra session, so they had a 3-swing tiebreaker. That ended in a tie, but then Guerrero hit 2 homers during the second 3-swing playoff, finally outlasting Pederson 40-39. All told, the 8 contestants in last night's T-Mobile Home Run Derby hit 312 homers. The previous record was 221 that was set last year. And now, enter the comments of American League starting pitcher in tonight's All-Star game, Justin Verlander. He did an interview with ESPN's Jeff Passan. Check out this quote. He's accusing Major League Baseball of purposely changing the ball to produce more home runs. You can see the quote right there. It's a joke. Major League Baseball is turning this game into a joke. They own Rawlings, and you've got Commissioner Manfred up here saying that it might be the way they center the pill. They own the company. If any other $40 billion company bought out a $400 million company and the product changed dramatically, it's not a guess as to what happened. We all know what happened. Manfred, the first time he came in, what did he say? He said, we want more offense. All of a sudden he comes in, the balls are juiced. It's not a coincidence. We're not idiots. End quote. Here you go, Mr. Verlander. Well, researchers have said the 2019 Major League Ball has fewer seams and a more centered pill, which reduces drag in the ball. Less drag means more velocity, and that means more home runs. By the numbers, as you see there, Major League hitters have belted 3,691 homers so far this year. That's a pace to hit 6,668 homers. That would obliterate the record set 2 years ago of 6,105. Now, whether more home runs or more offense is better for baseball, we don't know yet. But for a game steeped in history with its heroes measured by numbers, it's a stats-driven sport, no doubt about it. There's no doubt 2019 will be remembered as the year of the home run. By the way, the 90th All-Star Game is tonight on Fox from Progressive Field in Cleveland. They'll begin the broadcast at 4:30. Closer to home, the West Coast League's Moss Adams Player of the Week and Pitcher of the Week, announced by League Commissioner Rob Nyer. Congratulations to Cal Poly's San Luis Obispo infielder Brooks Lee of the Corvallis Knights and Incarnate Word pitcher Aaron Celestino of the Victoria Harbor Cats. Lee was on fire at the plate last week for the Knights. In 6 games, he went 12 for 23, 11 RBIs, ranked by MajorLeagueBaseball.com as the number 37 overall prospect going into this year's draft. Despite being selected by the San Francisco Giants, the incoming freshman will head to college and play for his dad. His dad, Larry, coaches Cal Poly. He's going into his 18th season, as a matter of fact, of the head coach of the Mustangs. And pictured on your screen there is Mr. Celestino. He was masterful over 2 outings for the Harbor Cats this past week. He's a junior to be. He tossed 10 scoreless innings, allowed just 1 run, 6 hits, struck out 14. It's the 3rd straight week that a Victoria standout has been named either the Moss Adams Player of the Week or the Pitcher of the Week. Well, the Wenatchee AppleSox start the second half of the West Coast League season tonight at home. Ben Delks are in town. The 3-game series completes a home-and-home series. They had 3 games in Bend, of course, last weekend. After falling in the opener Friday, 11-1, Wenatchee bounced back to take the next 2, Saturday 8-4 and Sunday 4-2. Tonight is the AppleSox first ever bobblehead giveaway. The first 400 fans receive a Coyote bobblehead, courtesy of Denny's. First pitch tonight, 6:35. And as I mentioned before, the voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman, will give me a first half season review and a preview of the homestand here in the second half of the season, coming up a little bit later on here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Just a couple of games across the West Coast League. Let's take a look at the West Coast League scoreboard. Johnny Weaver's 3-run home run in the 7th inning was the difference as Ridgefield came from behind to beat Victoria 4-3 at Royal Athletic Park. Michael Young also 3 for 4 at the plate to pace the Raptors. Matthew Henkel and 2 relievers combined on a 4-hitter as Bellingham stopped Walla Walla 4-1. Christian DiCochia led the Bells offensively. He went 2 for 4, drove in 3 runs, and Trace Tamaro's 2-run double highlighted a 4-run first inning. Corvallis wins its 16th in a row. Wow. They beat Port Angeles last night 7-4. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Tuesday, 9th day of July. Let's roll forward with the obscure holiday, and today is National Sugar Cookie Day. It's popular as ever. It's as delicious as ever. Do you know anybody who doesn't like a sugar cookie? They're also very easy to make. In fact, sugar cookies are very often the very first thing that parents allow kids to make on their own because it's pretty easy. Sugar, what do you need? Sugar, flour, butter, vanilla, baking powder or baking soda. Most kitchens have all of those things sitting around in the pantry. Of course, you want everything as fresh as could possibly be to make it as good as possible. The sugar cookie is believed to have originated in the mid-1700s in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. It became known as the Nazareth cookie. Now we just call it the sugar cookie. And sugar cookies, of course, are good for you. They're full of important vitamins and nutrients. They're not, but they taste good. They're a nice summertime treat. Help yourself to a sugar cookie. Make them fresh. Nothing wrong with sugar cookies that you can buy at the store or at the bakery, but hey, you make it yourself. It's always the best. 27 minutes after the hour, let's do Today in History. 243 years ago, it was July 9th, 1776, during the Revolutionary War. May have been the first pre-war pep talk that we can remember in this nation's history. George Washington decided that it would be important to fire his troops up before the Battle of Long Island if they read the Declaration of Independence out loud on the steps of a building in downtown Manhattan. So they did. There were thousands of British troops getting ready to fight, and we had thousands of our troops getting ready to fight. He said, we're going to go to war here against the British in the Battle of Long Island, so let's do a pep talk. And so he had the Declaration of Independence read out loud to his troops on this date, 243 years ago. By the way, the next month they fought the Battle of Long Island, and it was a British victory. Can't win them all. This is the 151st anniversary of, in my opinion, the most important amendment to the Constitution. It's not the first, not the second, not the third, not the Bill of Rights at all. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution went into effect, was ratified by the states on this date, July 9th, 1861, guaranteeing all persons in the United States due process of law. The due process clause is the most important clause that there is. Basically, state and local governments and the federal government cannot deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without fair procedure. This is the clause that has basically been the hinge on almost every single important Supreme Court decision since then. And it also means that, as far as I'm concerned, the Bill of Rights is applicable to the states as it is to the federal government. And by the way, the states of the Confederacy were required to ratify the 14th Amendment or they wouldn't be allowed back into the Union. So they did. Happy 151st birthday to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. You should read it. It's pretty good stuff. 101 years ago today, the deadliest train accident in this country's history in Nashville, Tennessee. An inbound local train collided with an outbound express. 101 people were killed. They think maybe even more. 171 people were injured. And because of that, it made it the deadliest rail accident in United States history. It's probably not going to happen again. For one thing, nobody rides the rails much anymore. Happened 101 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee. And 63 years ago today, July 9th, 1956, there's Bill Haley and his Comets. They were supposed to play a concert at Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City, New Jersey, but they were denied by the authorities because the day before, the City Council of Jersey City, New Jersey, passed an ordinance. And it read like this, and I'm going to quote from the ordinance. Rock and roll music encourages juvenile delinquency and inspires young females in lewd bathing suits to perform obscene dances on the beaches of the city. This rock and roll has got to go. Still here, doing fine. Bottom of the hour, birthdays. He was born 200 years ago today and invented one of the most important things in modern America. I'm talking about Elias Howe, the man who invented this sewing machine. Now, other people have invented sewing machines before Elias Howe, but Elias Howe was the first one that invented a sewing machine that not only worked, but it could be mass-produced. He was born in this state 200 years ago today, July 9th, 1819. Didn't live very long, only lived to the age of 48. Isaac Singer took Elias Howe's invention and improved on it. Elias Howe had to sue to get royalties, and they ended up both dying very, very rich. The man who invented the sewing machine, Elias Howe, was born 200 years ago today. And happy birthday to Tom Hanks. He's 62 years old today. He's done all right. I watched Splash over the weekend with John Candy and Daryl Hannah. It's still a great movie. That was really his breakthrough. Big, A League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, Apollo 13, The Green Mile, Castaway, Saving Private Ryan, The Terminal, The Post, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump. He's got a couple of Academy Awards on his mantle. He also has a Presidential Medal of Freedom. That ain't bad either. Happy birthday, Tom Hanks, 62 years old today. And whenever he hosts Saturday Night Live, I don't miss an episode. All right, 31 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. When we come back, Mike McNaughty has something on his mind. He's always got something on his mind. And the voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman, will be joining me. We're going to talk AppleSox baseball and all good things baseball with Storm and Joel Norman. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Cosmetic surgery and treatment is the most personal of decisions. It is also a field that's evolving at an incredible pace. Dr. Jones, board-certified plastic surgeon, understands that once you arrive at the decision to enhance your appearance, you'll want proven, safe, state-of-the-art technology. You'll find this at Valley Plastic Surgery, delivered by an experienced and caring staff. Dr. Jones and his staff are ready to welcome you.
It's always been a dream of mine to own a home. She had credit, I didn't.
And I was like, you know what, let's just go talk and see what we could do to move forward.
We walked into Guild Mortgage. I didn't think home ownership was possible. Tracy had a plan for us. Small things that we could do to establish credit. Honestly, before you knew it, the next step was go home, build your dreams, live happily ever after.
At Doghouse Motorsports, we ride what we sell. There's a lot we could say about the CD Spark and the CD GTI, but ultimately, the ride says it all.
Find it all at Wenatchee Valley Mall. There's something for all ages at Wenatchee Valley Mall. No matter what the weather, the kids will have fun in one of the many play areas around the mall. Sign your kids up for fun adventures and super specials when they join the Kids Club. It's a great time for kids and an even better time out for parents. Check out specials and events 24/7 at WenatcheeValleyMall.com. It's your Wenatchee Valley Mall. Come shop today.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Hey, this is Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, many Christians today share the perception that society is deteriorating, and that's evidence that we are in the end times. Well, I don't deny some nasty stuff is going on nowadays, but I do feel a lot of this deterioration is just the natural progression of human nature, which has always been problematic. Now, I contend that in many ways, society is improving. Now, not perfect yet by any means, but improving. For example, recognition of our need to acknowledge and stand up against domestic abuse and domestic violence. Our acknowledgement and willing to deal with the abuse of our children. Our increased recognition of and the respect for the rights of the disenfranchised. Also, an improvement is an increased recognition of the respect of women's rights and their role in our society. And like them or not, The fact that this country matured enough to elect a black man for president. Now maybe, just maybe in some ways, we're moving in the right direction. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Here at the YWCA Thrift Store, our mission is to make positive change in the community by giving women and families the tools they need to regain economic stability through work experience and education. Featuring generously donated new and gently used furniture, housewares, clothing, and much more, the YWCA Thrift Store has something for the whole family. Shop, volunteer, or donate with us today.
SkillSource specializes in assessing and guiding youth, adults, and laid-off workers who want to improve their skills. Here you can attend in-depth workshops to assess skills and interests, make career plans, and learn computer basics.
Learning centers provide eligible youth and adults individualized computer-assisted basic education. Vocational training is arranged with approved providers like community colleges or on the job with businesses.
Don't wait any longer. Let's get working on the future you've been dreaming about.
How much are you paying for adult, family, or assisted living? Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living offers one-bedroom apartments for one affordable price. Their rates are all-inclusive, no nickel or diming or sudden increases, just one set price. You or your loved one will receive good food and excellent care in a relaxed, home-like environment. Stop on by for a tour to see if the Epladolin family is the right choice for you.
Family-owned and operated Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living in Cashmere. Affordable care.
Hi, I'm Kevin Prosser, and this is my print shop, Color Effects in Cashmere. Color Effects offers screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing on t-shirts, jerseys, bags, banners, signs, and more. With 30 years experience, you won't be disappointed with the quality and quick turnaround times you will get at more than a fair price. Please call Color FX.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. The National Pastimes local team, the Wenatchee AppleSox, begin their drive for the pennant, we hope, tonight. The Bend Elks are in town for a 3-game series, and over the weekend, the Bellingham Bells will be in town for a 3-game series. We'll be televising the Saturday game, by the way. We'll talk more about that. To wrap up the first half of the West Coast League season and to preview the second half is the voice of the AppleSox. He's been on the show before. He's back on again, live from Studio 11. It's Stormin' Joel Norman, the pride of Pittsburgh. How are you, bud?
Pretty good. I appreciate the Pittsburgh shout-out.
Good. Yeah. What's going on with your Pirates? They're like,
hey, they're 2 games out.
Yeah, well, everybody's 2 games out of the National League Central.
I guess that's true. But hey, they beat the Brewers 2 of 3 this past weekend, so maybe they're for real, but they're probably not going to trade for anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's the National League Central is really weird right now because the last place team, I think, is Cincinnati, and they're only like 4.5 games out of first place.
They're
all
can
bunched.
hit, too, so they could probably
the
bump
Cubs,
up.
Brewers, they're all together there.
Feels like every year the NL Central's that way.
Yeah. And then they, of course, go to the playoffs and lose, with the exception of the Cubs. I thought the Cubs were going to be a dynasty. I don't know what happened to them. When they won it all a couple of years ago, I thought they had it all with Joe Madden and all these young guys.
You know, Chris Bryant didn't play very well last year. They had some injuries, I think, the year before, too. So if they can get in this year, they're as good of a shot to contend. But I'm not really sold on a dynasty anymore. This might be the last year. Madden might get fired if they
he
do
might
something.
He might. Well, he's. He was the hero in Chicago, 3 years ago. Now, not so much.
Yeah, all of a sudden the Cubs are realizing the cost of winning is you're expected to continue to win too.
Yeah.
So,
the Chicago Cubs were an interesting example of baseball economics back in the day when Harry Carey called the games on WGN, and they played mostly day games, and they sold out every game. They became a national entity because WGN went to be a national network. Everybody had WGN. And all of a sudden, the Cubs, unfortunately for Chicago, stumbled on this bizarre economic theory that they don't have to win baseball games to make a lot of money. And so they didn't. They were just kind of mediocre through all those years, and yet they were raking in the cash because people were selling out Wrigley Field and buying jerseys and watching the games on TV. And finally, they decided, well, maybe we should win a pennant or two.
Well, maybe the Baltimore Orioles will go down that path with Camden Yards. Doesn't matter if you win if you're playing one of the best parks in the country.
Yeah, that's true. We have one of the coolest parks in the West Coast League, Paul Thomas Senior Stadium, and it's going to be a hopping place over the next 6 days before we preview that. Let's talk about the first half of the season. A couple of early struggles, but some players have asserted themselves as both team leaders and pretty good baseball players. I know you don't like to single out any other one player, but you want to talk about a couple that have impressed you so far this year?
I've been really impressed with several guys. I always tell everyone Cole McKenzie. He's as consistent of a player as we've had over the last couple of years, because summer ball can be a lot of change throughout the year, but it feels like it's a given that one way or another McKenzie, who's an incoming senior at Purdue and plays center field and hits third just about every night for us, he is probably going to get on base at least twice, one with an opposite field single and then probably a walk. He is, at this point, to me, at least a shoo-in for the All-Star game.
And I think he's 4th or 5th in the league in batting, too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's right up there in the top 10. He's been there all year, right there in on-base percentage. He's probably, our team starts and ends right there. He is one of our best players, and he sets the table for a lot of the guys. There's several others who I've really enjoyed watching. Blake Klassen, he's an incoming freshman at Arizona. Our coaching staff, it feels like every day they're saying they're just impressed with his maturity and how quickly he's able to understand and read signs. And they just love watching him continue to develop as a ball player.
And he's just a kid.
Yeah, incoming freshman.
Yeah.
He just wrapped up high school, came out here to play for us. He's been stellar, locked down that first base spot, bounced around in the order, and he just hits wherever he's at. And we're kind of starting to see his power stroke a little bit. He hit his first home run of the season last week on Wednesday, and the sky might be the limit for that kid, because he's already shown a lot of baseball IQ at a young age, and that usually bodes pretty well. We've also got a few pitchers who've bounced around. Some have had some tough outings lately, but Landon Shire out of the bullpen, he's got 4 saves for this team. He'll be at George Fox this fall, and he's looked lights out of the bullpen. It's a guy who he brings that intensity to the mound that you're used to seeing out of a lot of closers. It's fun watching him. Sam Wyatt, he's kind of been a swing guy. He's made some long appearances out of the bullpen, started a few games for us. He pitches over at University of Northern Colorado, and this is a guy who has gone 5 innings of relief and 5 innings as a starter. And I just love watching guys who can do either one of those, because they're extremely valuable to your team.
For those of you who are not familiar, Kyle has a very good pitching coach whose name I just forgot.
Tyler Vondre.
Thank you. But these guys are under some supervision from their respective schools. Yeah, these kids.
Absolutely.
These kids are working on their baseball skills, and they're here in Wenatchee to play baseball this summer, but their overall goal is to keep playing college baseball. And so, yeah, these pitchers, specifically pitchers I'm talking about, they're here to play baseball for the AppleSox, but they're on a limited workload, because the last thing you want to do is play summer league ball in Wenatchee and blow a shoulder or have Tommy John surgery. So people need to understand that.
Yeah, not every guy can just go out and toss 7 innings of work that night. It's not always going to work that way. Sometimes the guys have pitch counts, pitch limits for the season. It's interesting how it works guy to guy, because the more Division I players you have, the more limits there are, obviously, on that. But the more guys who may be D2, D3, maybe the coaches are more willing to see some work out of them at the same time. We had a guy who pitched at Yakima Valley this past year, Seth Kuykendall, who, if he had gone to a D1 program, our coaching staff feared there might be an innings limit or a pitch limit on this guy. We might have to shut him down early in the summer. But he went to a D2 program in Western Oregon, and the Sox coaching staff got the all clear. Let it rip. See what he can do. So It's really refreshing when that happens too. So when people see guys who aren't D1 maybe with their team, with the AppleSox, it doesn't mean that's a bad thing. In a lot of ways, that's good, because these guys still might transfer up to that at some point, or they're still a high caliber player. I always bring up the example of Tyler Detloff, who he's had a tough go at times this summer, but is a really good ball player. Showed it at Montana State University buildings this past year. And as a guy who our coaching staff has said, who obviously played for them at Yakima Valley, they've said he's a guy who could have gone D1, but the fit was better for D2. So just because a guy isn't a D1 player doesn't mean they're not still talented.
Absolutely. And it must be frustrating sometimes for a pitcher, not just for Wenatchee AppleSox or anybody in the West Coast League, who's having a really good outing, and they bump up against that pitch count, and the coach comes out and they said, "Sorry, Johnny, but we told your coach at State University that we're going to limit you to X amount of pitches, and I know you have a 2-hitter going, but got to take you out."
Yeah, we've got a few of those guys. Alec Gomez is a popular one. He pitched at Yakima Valley this past year, going to play over at Gonzaga, though. And pretty much once he went to Gonzaga, he was told, well, you can pitch this summer, but you've got to watch. He went, I believe it was 92 innings this past year at Yakima Valley. Our coaching staff was stunned that he was even allowed to pitch the rest of the summer. So we were thrilled to have him, but at some point he's going to get shut down. And there's other examples throughout there too. But it's about protecting the arms at the end of the day, because this day and age, more so than any other point in baseball's history, we're almost overly cautious. But you have to be with arms, the way you're throwing faster and the types of pitches, and pitching isn't good for your arm, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, the arm wasn't designed to do what it does in the world of pitching. Of course, I was outstanding at it. This is the baseball, by the way, that Eric threw for opening.
That one?
Yeah, for when he did his ceremonial first pitch, it still got the
You can
mark
see
on
the
it.
mark where he skipped
he
it.
didn't quite get it to the plate. So you went down to Bend last weekend.
That's right.
It's a long bus ride. It's like 6.5 hours with a couple of rest stops. I love Bend. It's a beautiful area. And the kids, the guys got out of the bus and stretched and went out and just got clobbered. And I have seen this before.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to the park and you got to be playing baseball in 90 minutes
Exactly.
and you're just not ready.
That's exactly what the case was Friday. I think it was a long bus ride. You know, we're getting up the guys are getting up probably to get to the park at 7:30. You know, maybe even earlier, and then we're heading out. You get to Bend. You know, you maybe lie down in the hotel for a good 20 minutes, and then you go, wait a sec, we got a game, and 11-1 loss is a shellacking. Honestly, I said that a few times. I said this was bad. There's no other way to put it, but. The best thing that the AppleSox could have done was rinse and completely forget about it. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they went out and they won Saturday and they won Sunday, and both of them were impressive victories.
Absolutely. I'd said that they flipped the script on Saturday because after the pitchers issued 10 walks and their infielders committed 3 errors the day before, it went the other way the next day. It was the Bend Elks pitchers walking 11 and committing 3 errors overall. So the Sox did what they had to do. They bounced back. They forgot about the game Friday. And that's a testament to our coaching staff doing a great job of resetting the mindset and saying, forget about yesterday. Let's not even talk about it because there wasn't much to take away from it. You know, we're in Bend. It's a new day. And that's exactly what happened. Sunday was probably one of my favorite games of the year.
Talk about it.
The West Coast League doesn't have a lot of low-scoring games, Dan. I'm sure, as you can tell by now. But that was a really fun one, I thought, on Sunday with being a 4-2 win. And it was a testament to this AppleSox pitching staff and the way it's grown. I thought that they've had a few guys in this year who've really been lights out, and I felt like that was all combined together on Sundays. With Seth Kuykendall starting, and some really great relief work, Alec Gomez, Landon Shire after that, and that's basically what the AppleSox want to be doing every night, is handing the ball to the back of the bullpen to Gomez, to Shire, to guys like that. Obviously, with what we talked about, those pitch counts and limits sometimes, you're not always able to do that. But it's pretty crazy this year. The AppleSox now, all 4 of their games in which a starter has gone at least 6 innings, they picked up the win. So the recipe to success is there, but the question is, are you going to be able to get that starter through 6 innings every night?
The West Coast League season is divided into 2 27-game schedules, essentially. It's one long schedule, but once each team gets to 27 games, whatever your record is after 27 games is where you finish in the first half of the season. And we are right at the 27-game league mark, and we finished 12-15 in the first half of the season. But a little momentum is coming our way. And before we preview the upcoming series with both Bend and Bellingham and the rest of the league and the rest of the season, including the promotions, one more item of business because we need to touch on it. It's been probably the underlying issue throughout the year for the AppleSox. Their fielding has been struggling. They're near the bottom of the league in fielding. Fielding percentage and errors. They've committed a lot of errors, that kind of stuff.
And a lot of that came the first 2 weeks of the season. That's what I keep trying to tell people is, yes, the AppleSox are second right now in errors, but a lot of that was the first 2 weeks when it was regularly a 3-error night. However, these last 2 weeks, they've really locked it down. I think a lot of guys have looked more comfortable defensively. Guys like Cody Darcy, who he got off to a rough start, no way to put it, but it was odd. He played at second base a few times where he had not played at all with Xavier this past spring and only played once last season with the AppleSox at second. But he looked really comfortable at second base for a few games, and it's almost like that kind of reset his mentality. He looked more comfortable, almost like realizing, hey, if I'm doing well here in a place I'm not as used to playing, maybe I don't have to be as nervous or cautious elsewhere. And he's looked fantastic playing at short, third. He's played all 4 of the infield spots at times this year. So it's nice seeing guys like him evolve like that. Cody Colden, same thing. He can play second, short, and third. We've got a lot of guys in that middle infield who can play those 3 spots, and that's so valuable to have. I'm a big fan of anyone who can do things like that.
There's a lot of coaches, and most of them know what they're talking about. They think on road trips, fielding practice before a game is much more important than batting practice. Because every field is a little bit different. Yes, it's going to be 60 feet 6 inches between the rubber and the plate, but each field has its own characteristics as far as what it's made out of. How much room does the first and the third baseman have between the dugouts? They have to all of that is different. Fielding practice on the road is critical, isn't it?
It is, and it's a simple thing our coaches will always do. During batting practice, whoever isn't tossing, the other 2 coaches are over hitting ground balls over short, third, or second, wherever they can to. But especially when the guys are going back to like a turf field, you'll see a lot of extra. Because while the guys are primarily used to turf, they're not playing it very often in the summer. So they've almost become more accustomed to these grass and dirt fields.
Sure.
So when we go to a place like Bellingham or a place like Corvallis at the end of the season, there'll be a little bit more infield work because, as the coaches always say, the bounces are true on turf. It's predictable. You know what's going to happen every time. Not always that way with dirt and grass.
Yeah, and the turf, if you got a really heavy spin on a bunt or a chopper, it will go twing. It'll act like a golf ball on a green.
Yep.
You got to understand how to play that as well.
Yeah, it's really the same kind of perfectly manicured grass you see at the golf
course. What do the guys do to kill time on the road? I mean, you were just spent 3 days down in Bend. Do they just hang around the hotel room, watch movies? Do they get out and about? What do the guys do?
They'll go out and they'll grab some food. The thing I always like to tell people about what they do on the bus, every single night of the road trip, especially the long rides, they play this game called Mafia, if anyone's familiar with that. I've never actually played it myself. I hear it every single night on the bus, but it's a popular game they do. And boy, they were up till about, I think, 11:30 on the bus ride back from Bend. That's after a long 3 days there, up and down games, but they were up late. The chemistry of this team is incredible. It feels like whatever they're doing, they're having a blast. They're enjoying talking to each other. They welcome in the new players who are late additions. I mean, this is just incredible chemistry for me to be around. I've just loved seeing how everyone's getting along super well. It's, there's different characters in there, but everyone's kind of meshing no matter what, and it's just been fun watching how quickly a team is developed.
You spend so much time together, you're much better off getting along with your teammates than not, I guess.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking bobbleheads. They got a couple of bobbleheads nights this week, and we'll just, preview the second half of the West Coast League baseball season with Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox. You're waking what? I promised a 5-star show. We're now down to 2.5. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Highlander Grill and Golf Course is known as one of the finest wedding venues in the Wenatchee area. You do not have to be a member to come to Highlander. Highlander Golf Course offers a first-class backdrop for your wedding day. Our friendly professional staff will ensure your wedding and reception is picture perfect, from every moment leading up to the I do's to when the lights go down at the end of your reception. Hi, I'm Shalane, site coordinator for Highlander Grill. Give me a call to schedule your event today.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
Corey here from Rose Tractor, your local Cub Cadet dealer. We've got the all-new Cub Cadet Ultima zero-turn mowers in stock, and they are awesome. The Ultima is like no other zero-turn you've seen. With a box tube frame and available Kawasaki engine, it has unmatched strength and performance, cutting up to 50% faster than lawn tractors. You have to see the Cub Cadet Ultima to believe it. Come on down and experience the Cub Cadet Ultima today.
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places. We have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today. We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
We're back. Dan Kuntz, Storm, and Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox. It's hard to believe, 20 years of AppleSox baseball, they've never had a bobblehead night until tonight. And here it is, and obviously doing the honors for the very first ever AppleSox bobblehead. It's got to be Coyote. There you go. I'm going to hold that up. There you go. There he is, Coyote. It comes with the bat, by the way. I discovered this because Joel gave this to me, and the bat is separate, and you have to screw it in. Because I set it up, and Joel goes, "Where's the bat?" I had to go back and look.
Standing there like this.
Here's
I'm like,
bat.
"What's in his hands?"
Yeah, here you go. Here, toss me one. What do you say now, Joel? Now,
this will go well, huh? Oh no!
Breaking stuff up. So first ever, courtesy of Denny's, by the way. How many of these babies do you have to give away?
400 to give away tonight.
Well, they'll be gone.
Yes, they will. Yeah, it's a weeknight game, but it's also a $2 off Tuesday. Our tickets are a little bit cheaper too. Concessions are a little bit cheaper as well. So really, you can't beat this. The tickets are as cheap as $5 for this game, and if you're early enough, you get a bobblehead.
It'll be a beautiful day. It's going to be overcast, which is fine, but no rain in the forecast. Don't have to worry about the heat. Don't have to worry about getting the sunburn or anything like that. And again, the first 400 fans get a Coyote bobblehead. These are very well made, by the way.
I really like them.
They're not cheap. They didn't go cheap on this one. You guys went all out.
Yeah, Alexander Global created those. They're really great production. They created that, and the Marco Gonzalez. I give a lot of credit to our assistant GM, Ali Shank, who was really big in the design of these. We found a lot of different pictures of Coyote. Went through a couple different ones. Said, we don't want that. She made sure that we got something really good. So credit to Ali for how they came out.
What does Coyote think about that?
Oh, he's thrilled. If you look at his Facebook page, which I urge everyone to like, AppleSox Coyote on Facebook. He's hoping he can get one tonight. He's not sure if he'll be able to get to the park early enough. So
okay, wouldn't that be terrible if Coyote doesn't get his own? I'll sell him mine. I'm not selling him mine. I'm keeping mine. Trying to get Marco out of this.
Yeah, this is the one for Saturday against the Bellingham Bells.
Marco Gonzalez, now of course a standout pitcher for the Seattle Mariners.
Yep.
Spent a great deal of time here. Get that off.
2010, he was with us.
Way so you can see that. There he is. There is Marco. This obviously the same company.
Yeah, same exact company. We got it shortly after we got the Coyote ones. We really liked that one, and it was funny because this is one where Allie and I and our general manager Ken Osborne really talked a lot about what do we want to do for the design. And Allie and I, just from going to a few Mariners games, we'd said, you know what? He always pumps his fist a lot. He always gets really excited. I was like, why don't we just do that in the bobblehead? I was like, because that gets me pumped up whenever I see a pitcher going like that after a strikeout. So we got that in the bobblehead, and we hope people like that.
It's a great. It's a perfect likeness of him. It really is.
It looked really good. I thought it was really cool.
Has he seen this? Has he approved of this? Did you send
We haven't shown him the actual thing. He approved of the bobblehead. We're going to send some his way at some point, hopefully next coming weeks or so.
Well, I know he watches the show, so I'm sure he'll be
big fan, Marco Gonzalez.
Yeah, he never misses this show. This is courtesy of the IBEW, the local the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, sponsoring the Marco Gonzalez.
Yep,
bobblehead.
and that's on Saturday. Yep, Saturday. 400 of those Saturday, the same night, and you guys will have the game on right here on NCW Live. So.
And the only way you can get these things is to either host a live morning television show or go to the ballpark. That's it. No other ways to do it. No, it's
working for the team? No, just kidding.
Well, boy, we sure know Bend, don't we? We've played them 3 already. Then we got 3. So we got Bend and Bellingham. Coach Krusnagel is thinking maybe let's go 4-2 in this homestand, get that second half season going well.
Yeah.
Second half, now it's a clean slate. They're 0-0 essentially.
It is. That's a weird way for the season to go because I think I say that to him. I say, hey, what's the approach with everything starting anew? And Coach Krusnagel always says to me, we're not starting anew. We're building off of what we did here late in the first half. And I told the guys last few games, he kind of had a message for them starting after that 3rd of July game, which they lost. He said, we're out of playoff contention, but let's see what we can do to build momentum. So instead, they've won 3 of their last 4. And all of a sudden, it looks like maybe a trend is developing here for the AppleSox. So it's kind of like a reset button in a lot of ways, but it's also just more of the same. Let's keep it rolling. Don't think of it as something brand new, even if it is, because today is opening day in a lot of ways.
In a lot of respects. And something that I'm keeping a close eye on with this AppleSox team, outside of just a couple of very small exceptions, they're playing the good teams well.
They are.
It's not like they're getting blown out by the Victorias and the Corvalises and the Walla Wallas. They're not. Yeah. They're in these games. So.
The thing is, I look at that Victoria series a couple weeks back. Of course, I was out of town for that anyway. Right. But there were a couple extra inning games. Mm-hmm. And yes, Victoria did sweep the AppleSox. However, 2 of those games were very much winnable. Yeah. And while they didn't get the win, and we're not making excuses, we do say at the same time, the AppleSox are right there. So there is potential. That's what I always try to tell people. If they're right there in these kind of games, I'm not going to say they should have won. I don't do the coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm saying how can they build that into something new. It also shows maybe this is a good enough team, maybe a little bit better than their record might seem. So all it takes is a good run.
Yeah, and Victoria is a hard road trip, not because of distance, because the city is so gorgeous and it's so easy to get to forget about you have to do a baseball game. The Bend Elks in town tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. Tonight is the Coyote bobblehead, and then the Bellingham Bells in town for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the Marco Gonzalez bobblehead. We will be televising the Saturday game live, but who's kidding who? You got to go to Paul Thomas Senior Field. You got to the smell of the hamburgers and the hot dogs and the beer and the Cracker Jacks and the kids having fun and Coyote being Coyote.
Absolutely.
All the cool stuff. You got to go to the ball game.
Yeah. Tickets as cheap as $5 tonight. That's $7 every other night, though.
Yeah. There you go, folks. Storm and Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox. By the way, you can listen to AppleSox Baseball on Sunny FM, the flagship of the AppleSox Radio Network. Joel, I'll see you definitely Saturday for sure.
Absolutely. Hopefully a game before then.
Yeah. You're watching Wake Up in Angie Valley. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.